South Africa has been named the fourth most affordable country in the world in which to buy property. This is according to a study by Compare the Market. It looks at average property prices per square meter and average disposable household income in each country, and used these to determine the cost per square meter as a percentage of annual income. The most affordable country was Turkey, followed by the United States, and Mexico came in third. Rali Mampeule is the founder and CEO of South African Housing and Infrastructure Fund and joins us now to look at this. Thank you so much to you for your time. I've been, going through quite a lot of what people have to say about this particular study. It's been met with disbelief by some, and they say it can't be true that South Africa is in fourth place when it comes to the most affordable countries to buy property. What's your take on that?
Thank you, and good afternoon to your viewers as well. It's quite an interesting research that came across, and I think the view from ourselves as the property players is that it does make sense. If you look at different other countries around the world, per square meter in terms of pricing, we're definitely still below. So that also just gives the confidence that South Africa is still the place to invest in property.
So I suppose then, some that are talking about how this might not be true, they are maybe looking at the fact that while the prices are still considerably low and quite affordable for some, for them, I guess they're also juxtaposing it mostly with the cost of living.
No, definitely. I mean, the cost of living is a big question because it's not keeping up, obviously, with the increase of salaries or income. But certainly, that does not necessarily conclude that the properties are expensive around the world. So, obviously, the currency also plays a big role. I mean, this research definitely did look into currencies as well. It just makes sense that, this is the country that we should actually be embracing where we are now, and obviously trying to see how else we can improve people's lives and make sure that people can still be able to afford these properties. But, it can get worse. And I think they always say it's never late in property to invest in.
And I wonder, I'm keen to find out from you just how the picture has been looking, because in, last year we saw somewhat of a different picture with the market looking like it's picking up. But then at some point we now seeing just how difficult things, are, especially with the pandemic. I wonder how, things are looking, especially because we also saw, that Zoom boom trend, for example, coming to effect.
Contrary to some of the thinking that we are having during the pandemic, there was a lot of activities within the real estate space. If you look at, especially in areas of the coast, places like Plettenberg Bay, Cape Town, there's been a series of sales, and I think people got out. They really saw that it makes sense to really invest in your own home, especially during the pandemic. So all of us were panicking, but the results were quite different. So if you look at the sales that took place during the 2 years of the pandemic, they actually we're actually satisfied with those. The percentage of those sales. What
would you say was behind people investing more in their homes? Could it perhaps mean that, some of them viewed working remotely as a factor here as well?
Definitely, but you must also remember that our interest rate was one of the lowest during the pandemic, obviously with government trying to make sure that we can all be able to survive the hard times, and that also brought an opportunity with the interest rate being low to bring new entrants. And I mean, what's interesting as well is that the majority of people that are buying homes now in South Africa are single black women, and that's quite an interesting factor. So that is actually, with the interest rate going down, has actually allowed more entrants into the space.
And Rali, one of the things that I saw as I was combing through some of the comments of people that were talking about this study. Some say that it simply cannot be true. They cannot afford. It's hard. They talk about their own pockets and how difficult things are. I wonder, what would your advice be? Would you say that maybe potential buyers who are looking to buy now might try to maybe explore properties away from major metropolitan cities?
Yeah, I think what's interesting, there's a couple of factors, and that one of them is definitely to say that we need to look at different method of actually buying properties. So, for example, we need to start understanding that we can look at microfinancing as one of the a pillar of accelerating delivery of housing in South Africa. There's also the norm that some of us are forgetting it now, where our parents will take 4 or 5 years to build a house in the rural areas, and today you find that those houses are actually could be valued at over just over 800,000 in some cases. Obviously, there's no title deed, but the concept of incremental housing is quite a good concept, where you should also look at your financial situation, and sometimes you may need to buy a stand and build over time. And we cannot ignore that in developing countries. I know it's a bit of a pain to see your neighbor building over years, but it's one of the pillars of creating housing. And you will see, even with government, they've got what they call rapid land release, where they're trying to give people land so that they can build over time.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Do appreciate your insights there. That was Rali Mampeule. He's the founder and CEO of SA Housing and Infrastructure Fund.